Hello, welcome back to the show. We took a hiatus last week because wow, I was out, like, just I don't know, long week last week, something like that. I don't know. Anyway,
we do that sometimes, you know.
Yeah. We don't have any obligations. We don't have any sponsors or anything like that. So it'd be nice, because there'd be some money coming in, but yeah, not a thing.
Say that all the time, though.
Yeah, I know. So, anyway, how was your week?
Average.
Settling into the new job well?
It's fine.
It's fine.
At least I have one.
This is true. This is very true.
One thing that I really don't like is that everything is more corporate, you know.
Oh, okay. More corporate.
Company is way bigger.
What? Don't actually say. Shoot me a message. I'm curious to actually know what corporation you work for.
The company manages like senior care facilities, nursing homes, and assisted living facilities and stuff like that.
Interesting. Okay. Very, very interesting. So,
Well, at least I have job security. No, they're not going to go under anytime soon.
well, you don't know. That's where all the cases happen to be. You know, everyone could just die. I know
I find it hard to believe that just about all of the old people in the country are just going to die from coronavirus. Nah, I don't think that seems right. So I'll probably have.
You're probably right. Right. But anyway, so we have some great topics lined up for you this week. I think it's going to be a great show, some great discussion. So we are going to get into it. But first, let's roll the intro. You know, I was just thinking, you've never actually seen the intro for the show before, have you?
It's been a while.
No. There's a different intro. There was the intro for our Tech Beam videos. There's actually a dedicated intro for the Ram show that was made. So
Here's the thing: is I don't need to watch it because I'm there, you know.
I know, it's weird it's weird that you don't know what any of the elements like look like or anything like that.
It's a weird thought, but yeah.
So,
you know.
Have you ever actually seen a show, like watched a show back, or like even a portion of a show?
I don't want to because I don't want to hear myself talk.
See, okay, something I had to learn when I worked in radio was that listening back to myself is a good thing, because you catch a lot of things that you do that you're not necessarily aware of that you actually do. Now, one of the things is what crutch phrases do you use? So, one thing that I still struggle with is a lot of those are kind of things that I want to try to cut out. And then when you try to do that, you replace those with other things. So what you'll end up noticing is that you end up going to specific phrases that they call these crutch phrases that you replace those things with. And so that's another thing. But anyway, so there's one of my crutch phrases is anyway. So. But that's me. And that's what I was taught to do, I guess, in order to make myself a better talent, if you will. And there are other things that you can do. Toastmasters is a great example of that. Although I'm sure, you know what? I wonder how they're doing that now. So the idea behind Toastmasters is basically like speeches, if I understand it correctly. And so you write a speech and then you present those, and it's supposed to make you a better presenter. And I guess you could do it just like speech classes are happening now, where you start up a Zoom session and you do it remotely like that.
It really doesn't have the same punch to it.
No, but you know what's weird? I always laughed when people said that they were taking speech online.
I mean, of course, I would have loved the opportunity to do that, but I didn't have it.
By the time that you were taking, did you actually have to take speech in college?
Actually, no, but I did have to take. I think we spent an entire semester just giving speeches in high school, and it was actually my freshman year. No, was it sophomore year maybe?
I had a specific actual speech class.
And they made us they made us dress up and all 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some that had to be done by memory, and some that were allowed to carry a piece of paper.
Do you remember?
Had to be a certain length, and it was everything. It was horrible.
Do you?
I accept that I'm not a good speech giver, and then that's.
That's fine. You don't have to be.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember?
Why I don't care. That's why I'm fine with it.
Do you remember in college, we had a instructor. See, it's weird to call them. They're not really professors at a community college level. Instructor, I think, is a better term. Not to degrade anybody, but do you remember our instructor, like first or second semester for speech, where he brought in a literal like VHS cassette recorder or like video camera and recorded us doing speeches? Do you remember that?
No. I don't think I ever had to do that.
Yeah, you did, because we were in the same speech class. Or it wasn't speech class, it was English.
Yeah, it was English. It wasn't speech.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never had to give a speech for that.
Yeah, you did. We all did.
No, I did not.
Definitely
never did.
It was like a presentation or something like that. So, anyway. Regardless, I digress. Apparently, I'm turning into Jay's 2 cents now.
Say that?
But
that guy in years.
You don't really actually watch a lot of like tech YouTube channels, do you?
Not really. Sometimes it works though,
Where do you? Is this primarily where you get most of your tech news for the week now, or do you go out on your own?
No, I read a bunch of stuff at work sometimes when I get bored.
Okay, see, you gotta start sending me this stuff. If you find something interesting, you do every like once in a while out of the blue, but
yeah, I should, but I don't.
See,
know.
Okay, the theory behind this show was supposed to be for us to be able to talk about tech. I pick almost all the topics every week, but my theory was also that if there was something that you wanted to talk about, I wanted you to bring it up. So. Anyway.
I often forget to do that.
Copy and paste it and shoot it to me and say, hey, here's something. So, anyway, we got some pretty good topics this week. We're going to jump right in. Zach, what is the platform, the video conferencing platform that is exploding around the world?
We just talked about it. It's Zoom. I hate Zoom. Crap.
You're going to hate it even more. Zoom says free users won't get end-to-end encryption so that the FBI and police can access calls. Okay,
but so all you're telling me is if I'm a little terrorist or whatever, right? Whoever they're going after. I don't know. That's what they always say. We're going after the terrorists, right? So if I'm a little terrorist, right, all I have to do is buy my nice premium Zoom account, and the FBI can't see anything I'm doing. Excellent.
I think the theory is that and stealing somebody's identity and creating fake identities is a thing, but I think the theory is that they will have that information and it will be tracked to an account. But
that is the dumbest excuse for removing that feature.
I think there are more issues here. Let's break.
If the FBI or whoever really wanted to, know what people are doing on their Zoom calls, don't they just, send a fellow over to Zoom HQ in a nice fancy suit with a nice fancy piece of paper that says the government says you must do this?
Well, I mean, but things are being encrypted, so I don't know how.
Right.
But okay, but
and perhaps
here's
the piece of paper also says you must turn it off and not tell anybody about it, or you must implement technology that lets us see what's going on, even while preserving the encryption.
This creates some interesting, in my opinion, I think there's two parts to this here. There is the theory behind the FBI and the police being able to access that information, which I think in certain cases is okay. On the other hand, you're breaking the encryption now. Does that create, and let's remember, Zoom has already had enough issues with security. Does this create more security issues?
Perhaps, although if I were a paying user, I would not for a second think that they aren't also looking at that information as well.
That's true. I don't know. Anyway, so video calling company Zoom confirmed this week that it would not enable end-to-end encryption for free calls, in part because it wants to give law enforcement access to these calls if necessary. But you're right, this doesn't make sense, because the solution to getting around it is to pay for a subscription. And if you're a large terrorist network or something like that, you're gonna have money.
I just find it hard to believe that Zoom is the platform of choice for, criminals.
So what are they using? What
are
they
using?
Know, Teams?
But I find Zoom to be incredibly clunky.
No, I know what they're using. They're using Microsoft Teams.
Oh, perfect. I mean, Microsoft makes it really easy to get. They just give it to you whether you
Skype.
want it or not. So
or Skype.
Maybe they're just like, well, we might as well use it. But, like, come on. That just seems really weird to me. What kind of illicit activity is happening on Zoom calls that they want to snoop on?
So, here's what they say. They say, we think this feature should be part of our offering for professional customers, said Zoom CEO Eric Yuan in a meeting with investors on last Tuesday. Why? But why just for premium customers? The World Wide Web, HTTPS, secure socket layer, is becoming more of an important feature for websites. And so I'm sure that some of that stuff is probably still encrypted. Other parts of it aren't encrypted, which, okay, that should be. But I don't know. I don't think you should have to pay for end-to-end encryption. I think it should just be a thing. Again, Zoom has already had enough issues with security.
You must pay issues. If you don't want us to snoop on you. You must pay. And we're still going to snoop on you. We're just not going to tell you, I'm sure, is what's happening.
Right, but okay, so without the end-to-end encryption, it probably means that there are... And I don't know all the security behind it, but does that open people up to more security risks while making their Zoom calls? And
probably, because I mean, you can't just open up a window and say only the police can use this window. No, that's not how. Know that.
Exactly. It doesn't work that way. And the problem with this is, again, it all goes back to this whole theory of, this is exactly what people were concerned about with Zoom. We've already seen Zoom have issues with their security. There were people breaking into calls and being malicious in those calls. Does this not now make that easier on a free tier? And let's think about this too. The majority of people who are probably using Zoom right now are on a free tier because they're connecting with their family members right now. Anyway, so for sure we don't want to give them that because we also want to work together with the FBI, with local law enforcement, and some in case some people use Zoom for bad purposes. Okay, I think that's fair, but I think there are better ways to possibly go about it. I don't know how you do that. See, and this is the problem with encryption. It's either there or it isn't. There's no in between. So, encryption is a key issue for Zoom, which has been attempting to beef up its privacy and security after heavy usage exposed weak points during the COVID-19 pandemic. Like, yeah, I don't know. Reuters reported last week that the company will only roll out high-security end-to-end encryption to paying customers, potentially with exceptions for dissident groups or nonprofits that require the added security. Okay. There's an industry-wide conversation about protecting privacy without making it too difficult to catch illegal and abusive content. Congress is currently considering a bill that opponents fear could legally punish using encryption on social media. The Justice Department has objected to Facebook's plans to enable end-to-end encryption across its services. But again, the problem is that there is no magic back door that only the police and
only
the FBI
can use this door.
Can have.
No.
You either create a back door and somebody's going to find it, or you don't have, or it's completely open, or it's completely closed. There's no in between.
Yes. What's new? It has always been like that, and
it will always be for the foreseeable future. You know, the problem with a lot of people in politics, I think, and maybe not a problem, but most of them tend to be on the older side. It was hilarious watching them try to ask Mark Zuckerberg questions about technology, because they just and through no fault of their own. But most older people have not grown up with technology. It's something that's somewhat foreign to them.
What do you mean, no fault of their own? They had just as much opportunity to learn about it as young people.
Yeah, but a lot of them didn't grow up with it.
That doesn't mean they couldn't have learned about it.
Well, this is true. See, this is the interesting thing. So I have a coworker that says that by the time I'm their age, that the younger kids are going to have passed me in terms of technology, which I don't think is probably going to be true, considering that I am ingrained in the tech world.
There are plenty of older people who know about technology.
Well, that is true.
Not impossible.
That is true. But
It is not impossible, but of course the majority of them tend to be completely clueless.
Sure, but okay, think about the number of normies that still exist amongst us. I don't know. Technology comes easy to us. It's kind of like...
Yeah, but well, I don't know.
Okay, but see, here's my theory behind this. Or not theory, but like... It's like if we were to try to be plopped into the medical world. Sure, I know a few things about the medical world, but not really. But then again, we didn't follow that stuff either. So... there are still plenty of normies out there that technology is a foreign thing to them. So, but okay. So here's the other thing. Child safety advocates have warned that predators use Zoom along with other video platforms to live stream abuse, with no federal prosecution dubbing it the Netflix of child pornography. Strong encryption would likely make that content more difficult for moderators and police to find, but it also offers additional protection for people who are discussing sensitive information or at risk of intrusion and harassment. American Civil Liberties Union fellow John Callis describes Zoom's decision as a get rid of the riffraff who anonymously connects to free calls.
Okay, so basically they're doing the classic, but think of the children argument when they want to get rid of encryption or privacy.
Yes and
Think
no.
of the children.
Well, I think it goes more than that.
Problem, right? Here's the problem with that argument, right? Is by making such assertions, that just says, okay, well, there's no other way. We have no other way to catch these people. We can't. It's impossible. There's nothing else we can do to catch these people besides snoop on everyone's Zoom calls.
There's no denying. It's the
only way we'll catch these people. No, that's
okay. There's no denying that it makes it easier, because it definitely does.
Makes it easier, but like, come on.
Okay, but see, here's the thing. It's a fine line, right?
I mean,
not only does it make it easier to catch this illegal activity, but at the same time, does it expose people, legitimate people using the service, to security risks?
Here's the thing, right? You know, these same crimes existed before technology, before computers were widespread, and
some would probably
still caught them.
That's true. So, some would say, though, that the rise of the internet, the evolution of the internet has, and it's probably true, it makes it easier. Think of it this way.
It's just such a flawed argument.
Well, okay, but you can't deny that the evolution of the internet has made a lot of the stuff far easier. I mean, think about it.
Okay, but computers can also be used to help police do their jobs in ways that aren't snooping on people.
Well, that is true. It's a fine line.
It really goes both ways. It makes it easier for people trying to commit crimes. It makes it easier for police trying to catch them. And it doesn't require snooping. Snooping is not mandatory to catch criminals. Snooping on everyone, it's not necessary.
Here's an interesting thing. So
I don't know. They just tell politicians it is, and politicians will go and make encryption standards that can't be broken illegal. Blah 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 blah. Dumb crap.
Remember, we go back though. So there was that case, I don't remember how many years ago, about Apple building a backdoor because the authorities wanted to get into a phone because it contained some kind of pertinent information to their investigation, and I believe Apple said no. I don't remember what the outcome of that ever was, if Apple ended up creating something but you know what? Like, Apple's security is pretty incredible. That is one thing I will give Apple. But there are smart people out there. They can break into these things. You just got to find them. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation, and it's a catch-22. You don't have the encryption, and it makes it easier to access these things in these situations.
Here's the problem.
But at the same time, it opens...
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Well, we both do that. But anyway, but at the same time, it opens up this... Again, it opens up the security risks, possibly, to, again, legitimate people wanting to use the service. And maybe the solution is we just should all stop using Zoom.
Well, I hate it.
I don't see that happening.
When my company makes me do it.
Personally, from my standpoint, and I've said this before, from the standpoint of running a tech company, I am not in favor of using Zoom, given the issues that they have had. I would much rather rely on services from trusted companies. Cisco, Google. So that's my solution. And I guess you could argue that if you don't agree with it, then use a different service, which is exactly what we're doing. But anyway, what were you saying?
I kind of forgot what I was saying now. I was saying that, like, the more you let them do that, the more they'll just be able to snoop on everything in the future, and that's unfortunate reality.
You know, it brings up an interesting question. Is one thing that, well, okay, but so one thing that people want to do, which is a completely and utterly, in my opinion, just a very unwell thought out and definitely not a good idea, voting electronically. And we've talked about this before, but if you're going to vote electronically, what is probably the one thing that should be super solid in that system?
Encryption?
Encryption! Look, it's a bad idea. There are too many variables. Look, again, I love technology. Technology is great. And yes, it would be awesome to be able to vote electronically. But there's just too many factors that go into it that do not make that possible. At least economically, or not, I shouldn't even say economically, but from a security standpoint that make it a viable option. But you're right. If we're trying to create these backdoors into encryption, and that's the problem. You can't create a backdoor into encryption. It doesn't work that way. Because at that point, it's not encryption.
Unfortunately, I feel that there's probably no end to that practice. It's still going to happen all the time, and most of the time we probably won't even know about it.
This is true.
Doing it will be ordered to keep their mouths shut.
But again, creating...
And, I mean, that being said, eventually, government organizations are going to be able to know pretty much everything that you do online and on your computer and on your phone.
Well, some would argue that they already can.
And no one can really know the true extent of their current capabilities there either. And it's kind of scary, but...
Or at least, okay, so maybe I should put my tinfoil hat on and believe that if they want to figure out what I'm doing, they can figure out what I'm doing.
What can you do about it?
And that's actually probably
at the end
true.
Of the day, the question that you have to ask yourself is what can you do about it? Nothing.
I mean,
you better learn to live with it.
I mean,
unless you manage to somehow become an extremely important politician and change the rules.
Well, so you can also vote too for people whose ideals align with your ideals.
Of course you can, but that only does so much, and in the grand scheme of things, it really influences very little. Statistically speaking, one person's vote.
And that's why... That's true, but one vote is better than no votes.
Sure it is.
Anyway.
It's unfortunate that's the extent of your ability to change that.
But see, that's how our government is supposed to work. It doesn't, because there's too much money in government. And so powerful large corporations...
Oh, yes.
Use that to their advantage to push their agendas. But anyway, we are getting way too political now, and we're not a political show. Anyway.
Look, what's our standard statement about politics? Oh, yeah. All politicians suck. Okay.
That is not true. That is not true.
It's pretty much true. All politicians suck.
That might be your viewpoint.
All politicians
are no
slimy.
That is not true. There are some. See, politicians are painted in a bad light, I think.
If unfortunately it's probably true that, maybe the odd, one in a million politicians that maybe is a good person just got called slimy, but oh well.
Look, okay, there is no denying that there are certain politicians that accept money from large funds to push their agendas through. Now, okay, the thing about this is, we're getting way more political than I want to get, but they have their ideals, and so in a lot of cases, they believe that their ideals are correct. And then, of course, there are people on the opposite side of the aisle who don't believe that and believe that their ideals are correct. So, anyway. But that is enough political talk. Back to this.
Slimy. Okay.
Okay, fine. That is your opinion. But so anyway, the CEO of Zoom emphasized that encryption requires practical trade-offs as well, since people can't do things like dial into an encrypted call with a phone. Okay, that's probably true. So it's likely that even many business customers won't use it all the time, but his comments also emphasize that keeping law enforcement in the loop is one of Zoom's priorities. But it's not their obligation. They are a private company.
Well, that's...
Unless they're subpoenaed.
I mean, yeah, like a government body could certainly compel them to do that and also compel them not to tell anyone they're doing that.
This is true.
Which is unfortunate.
But they are a private entity, and they can make their own rules.
Of course.
Now, Zoom elaborated on the policy in a statement. Zoom does not proactively monitor meeting content, and we do not share information with law enforcement except in circumstances like child sex abuse. Okay, but so that raises the question, is there a way for them to access that content even with it being encrypted?
What you're telling me is they just somehow magically know when that stuff is going on, and they only send those things off to law enforcement? Because I don't believe.
Yeah.
I mean, how are they finding out which ones are which calls are, which content is being, well, not content, but which calls are being occupied by filthy people and which calls are not, without checking all of them? Well, it would not really be possible to check all of them.
I'm sure it has something to do with.
Here's my guess: is they're probably all recorded and held for a length of time, and when the police say, "Hey, we want to listen to this call," or watch this call, they can pull it up for them. That's probably what's going on.
Well, okay, so there may be some truth to that, but I'm sure that the way to narrow it down is by, if that's the case, then everything is logged.
I'm sure it is, yeah.
And so,
at least for a certain length of time, maybe not
for a certain length of time, but by geographical location, by user, and so I'm sure by IP address. And so I'm sure that if there's an active investigation, that they can use that information to narrow down the content that they're probably looking for.
Well, and if it's not Zoom's job to narrow things down either, they just hand over what they're asked for, I'm sure.
Right. But again, okay, see, again, private corporation, with, technically, I don't think they have any legal obligation to assist law enforcement. I mean, look at VPNs. There are VPNs that don't keep logs. And they're not getting in trouble by governments or law enforcement or things like that. So anyway, I think
that if they did keep logs and they refused to hand them over, then they might get in.
Yes. Well, those could be subpoenaed.
Yes.
But anyway, the world of legal gets very, very weird, and there's a lot of gray in it.
It's horrible.
There's a lot of gray in it, and I am not a lawyer, so do not take legal advice from me.
Nope.
Not a good idea. So, so Zoom said that Zoom does not proactively monitor meeting content, and that they do not share that information with law enforcement except for in certain cases. We do not have backdoors where participants can enter meetings without being visible to others. Well, maybe not anymore.
Okay, but what does that statement even mean? If they did, they wouldn't tell you.
But they already did, because people were breaking into me. Well, I don't know if that was through a backdoor. Those were through exploits, which, I mean, you technically could probably say is a backdoor.
Yeah.
Now, none of this will change, said a spokesperson. Zoom's end-to-end encryption plan balances the privacy of its users with the safety of vulnerable groups, including children and potential victims of hate crimes. We plan to provide end-to-end encryption for users whom we can verify identity, thereby limiting harm of these vulnerable groups. Okay, again...
we're just going in circles here.
We are going in circles because, okay, so if that's your theory, right? Look, again, a giant terrorist network who for some reason decide, or even a smaller one,
I used that example because it was kind of absurd.
Right, but it's not like they're not gonna, here's the thing.
Like, I'm sure it doesn't cost that much, does it?
That is a really...
I'm sure a substantial... criminal enterprise could.
And that's the point that I'm trying to make.
Or just use something else.
Look, a pro plan...
whatever, I don't even know.
A pro plan...
A bunch of crap.
Here's what you get. A pro plan costs $15 a month. You can have up to 100 participants. You can have a meeting duration that lasts up to 24 hours. There's user management, admin feature control, reporting, custom personal meeting IDs.
All right, what kind of criminal enterprise can't find $15 a month? A real bad one, that's what.
Even the more expensive
one.
Even the more expensive plans only cost $20 a month.
Oh, whatever. Well, hey, I guess they'll be making an extra $20 a month from any.
But if their theory is
wishing to share illicit content on Zoom,
if their theory is to look, I can go sign up for a Zoom account right now, and there are ways around. And see, I would imagine that where they're doing the tracking is because you could lie about what your name is and things like that when you're signing up. But it's the payment.
John Doe, and I live at 123 Main Street.
It's the payment information.
Give me my Zoom account. I'd like to pay in Bitcoin, by the way.
See, I don't know if that's actually possible.
That's probably.
But even still, there are ways around that.
I'm sure you could figure something out.
Yeah. There are ways around that. Look, it's way more tech savvy than what I have, because I don't participate in illicit crimes like that. But there are ways around that. So this whole theory of end-to-end encryption, verifying who the heck, and being able to verify identity, I don't know. I call a little BS on that. I don't know. Does it make more work on the other end? Yes. But if you're a terrorist network like that, you're probably already employing these practices anyways.
I just picture like a bunch of. I just kind of picture like Osama bin Laden. Even though he's dead. I don't know. Whoever's replaced him.
Well, okay, it will be the Taliban now, probably.
I don't know. No.
Or ISIS.
I don't know.
So.
Okay.
Great.
So this are we like?
This call is gonna get. Actually, this call is gonna get flagged because of the words we're using.
So what? You think like maybe a bunch of like ISIS fighters trying to like. Bomb a U.S. military base. They're on a Zoom call and they read this news. They're like, "Oh crap, we can't use this anymore." Like, do you think the U.S. Army is listening to them talk about it now?
Oh.
There's so many things wrong with that, but I still think it's.
Okay, yeah, so we plan to provide end-to-end encryption for users from whom we can verify we have a verifiable identity, therefore limiting harm to those vulnerable groups. For users, free users sign up with an email address which does not provide enough information to verify to verify identity, which is true. Again, I'm guessing
I'm sure you could find a way to anonymously pay for a Zoom account.
Right. Yes. Exactly. I'm sure that's what it breaks down to. I'm sure what the theory is from Zoom
Just
is
make
that
it harder.
Is that
Whatever.
I'm sure what the theory is that payment information is what's going to help them keep tabs on who owns a particular account. So, but again, yeah, like I said, there are ways around that. And here's the other question: how many of these? Well, actually, okay, there probably is because there's evidence of it there. But like, how many of these groups are probably using Zoom?
I don't know.
I don't know. It might be more than we think. I don't know what the numbers are.
Something illegal and wanted to talk to other people who were maybe doing something illegal with me, I wouldn't use Zoom because I hate Zoom. I mean, okay, I guess, you know. Like,
WebEx! WebEx! See, that, okay, like, WebEx would be my choice. WebEx or services from Google. Those would be my choices. So. Or, you know, we could use Microsoft Teams. Actually, that would be... Nobody uses Microsoft Teams, so that would be a really great option. Man.
The government's not devoting much resources to snooping on Microsoft Teams because no one uses it. Exactly. I figured it out.
Exactly.
We'll use Teams for our criminal enterprise. The government won't be able to see what we're doing.
Oh.
Perfect. Because no one uses Teams. They will never suspect it. Perfect. I'm a genius. We should probably move on.
Microsoft. Microsoft. Be what's next.
Okay.
Oh, as we've said many times before, though, Microsoft seems to always be.
You mean be what we were talking about yesterday?
Be late to the party. They always seem to be late to the party. Anyway, okay. Apparently this story moved on me. Let's see. Where is it? I thought I had the right link linked in here, but I apparently... Oh, here it is. Here it is. Copy link. Cool. Okay. So, the FCC extends a deadline for ISPs to quit charging customers who use their own equipment. So, it is a very common practice that when you sign up for your service from an ISP, that they will bring equipment in, and there's a rental fee for that equipment. Here's the thing.
Whether you use it or not.
Whether you use it or not, they still charge you.
Ah, yes, the rental fee for that modem that you immediately replaced with your own.
I'm sorry, Zach. I'm sorry.
You must pay it.
Zach. Did you just call that thing a modem?
Yeah.
No. The correct term is a piece of crap.
Yeah. All right. That's something that I should have said.
I know! I'm surprised you didn't. So I'm surprised you call it a modem. It's not a modem, it's a piece of crap.
Yeah, you know, usually what it is it's a modem, wireless router, cable box, turbo contraption 9000, and costs a fortune too, by the
yeah, and they are locked down in some cases.
And you can't replace it either.
Look, this is what I love. So here's the nice thing. My connection into my home comes in.
You don't have a modem.
No, I don't. My connection into my home comes in over an Ethernet cable. Mm-hmm. That Ethernet cable goes into, it's actually terminated into a Keystone jack in a box. Goes from the box to my router.
Those darn boxes.
So, well, no, it's in a Keystone jack. I did that to make it more solid. But anyway, and because I'm a techie network geek thing. But anyway, yeah. So I don't have a modem now. Back when we used to have media crap, yes, we did. So actually, I think when we first got MediaCom, the internet connection went into the computer over USB.
That happens?
So apparently the PC that we owned at the time, that Dell, did not have drivers installed for the Ethernet adapter to work.
All right.
Anyway.
I'm not gonna question.
Yeah, says the one, we'll just format the drive from the BIOS. How exactly do you do that, Zach?
Did I ever say that?
Yes, you did in our very first video.
What?
Just format the drive from the BIOS.
Oh. I thought you said format the drive for the BIOS, and I'm gonna just
no. Format the drive for the system from the BIOS. By the way, how exactly do you do that, Zach? I'm still wondering.
I swear I've seen a BIOS that can do that. It's all even.
By the way, your response was classic. I don't know, but it can't be that hard. And then you remember we put underneath it every IT professional ever. Anyway. Oh, that is also where the classic your catchphrase came from. That's where your catchphrase came from. This is a bad idea.
That's.
Oh, your reaction to us wanting to install Windows Vista on that system was hilarious, though. Windows Vista. Anyway, so moving on. U.S. internet service providers can continue to charge customers a device rental fee even if they have their own equipment. At least until December 20th, that is. So here's the thing. There was a law barring the practice that was set to go into effect on the 20th. But the Federal Communications Commission has extended the deadline for ISPs to comply due to the pandemic.
Excuse me, but what? What does the pandemic have to do with
okay.
Bags?
Let's go through this. Okay, the truth in billing requirements of the Television Viewer Protection Act of 2019 state that ISPs must refrain from charging a consumer from using equipment not provided by the service. Wait, what? Refrain from charging a consumer for using equipment not provided by the service provider. Okay. The FCC said in its ruling that broadband ISPs are integral to efforts to keep Americans informed and connected during the COVID-19 pandemic, and it was granting the 6-month extension so that these service providers may focus their resources on this critical effort. Okay,
what?
so I was confused when I read that too. Okay, so what they're saying is focus the resources on this critical effort, the critical effort of providing broadband and internet connections.
Telling me it takes a lot of resources for them to stop charging people for something that they're not using or in possession of? It takes them a lot of resources to do that?
No, okay, hang on. Let me reread this, okay? Hang on. Okay, so the FCC said that ISPs are integral to efforts to keep Americans informed and connected. I would agree with that during the COVID-19 pandemic. Again, I would agree with all this. So it was granting a 6-month extension so that these service providers may focus their resources on this critical effort. See, this is the part where I get a little confused, is they have lifted data caps. They have reduced the prices. Wouldn't it make sense to put this into effect? Because it would be one less thing that people who own their own equipment would have to pay for.
Well, I mean,
and if
you
they're
can't expect ISPs to...
if their argument is that, oh, by doing this, people are going to get their own equipment, well, yeah, probably, but
And
there are going to be a majority of
they-
people who don't.
And so what if they do? So what if they get their own equipment?
So some ISPs charge a monthly Wi-Fi router fee even when a customer uses their own router. In one instance, a customer who complained to the FCC never even received a router from his ISP.
Oh yes, that's the wireless internet fee that, you know, for the fee for using your own Wi-Fi device to connect to the service that you pay for and broadcast it to your wireless devices. Yeah, that's the fee for that, by the way. Even if you don't do that, or if you do it with your own equipment, you still have to pay the fee just in case one day you decide to, you know. That's how it works. You gotta pay the fee.
Now,
Ugh.
most ISPs in the U.S. committed to the FCC's Keep Americans Connected pledge in March, agreeing not to terminate internet service for residents or residential and small business customers who may have difficulty paying bills due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So wouldn't it make sense to put this into place because it's one less extra thing that they have to pay for?
Expect they would do such a thing? Because I don't. They're all evil.
And the companies also agreed to waive late fees. Most carriers agreed to extend the pledge until June 30th. However, the FCC has received around 500 complaints involving questions about billing or network issues or broadband access generally, FCC Chairman Ajit Pai said last month. By the way, can we just take a moment to call Ajit Pai what he is?
Like politicians?
Well, yeah, he is a yeah. But a lame excuse for the leader of the FCC, at least in my opinion. Look, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Getting rid of net neutrality? How does that help anybody? That should have been a nonpartisan issue.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I don't understand how this makes any sense. Why put all these easements in place to keep people connected and not eliminate this too? I don't know.
Num. Money.
Yeah, basically.
We love money.
Basically.
We don't care about anything else. We love money.
Yeah. So.
We are the FCC.
All right, moving on to Microsoft news for this week. So, Microsoft's new... Remember how I was talking about how I was surprised that the Edge hadn't just been installed on... Or like the update to Edge hadn't been installed on my system? I talked about this a couple weeks ago. Well, guess what? Microsoft's new Edge browser will now be rolling out via Windows Update.
Wait, I was reading something. What'd you say?
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, at least I admit it.
This is true.
I'm trying to fudge a response.
What were you reading? That was way more important than Microsoft news.
I got a message.
Anyway, so remember a couple weeks ago how I was talking about how I was surprised that the new Edge browser hadn't been pushed to my system? Or actually...
Push?
Or was
Did you
it...
get it yet?
No. But Microsoft's new Edge browser will now be rolling out via Windows Update.
Woo! I love the Windows updates.
Yeah. Did you disable the service again?
I've attempted, but I've had it turned back on me in multiple occasions because, of course,
My favorite part was that you actually had to do a system upgrade, and then the whole system blue screened on you.
Oh yeah, I've reinstalled Windows since then. In fact, the last time I reinstalled Windows was March, not that long ago, to be honest.
Why did you reinstall it?
I don't know. I was having a bunch of problems, and I was like, whatever, let's do it.
I might have to do that on my laptop.
I mean, really, it was, yeah, it sucked. But
reinstalling, you know what the most
It fixed
annoying, you know what the most annoying
problems I was
part
having.
of having to reinstall Windows is?
Trying to think of things that are really annoying. Redoing all my settings.
Yes!
Oh, okay. I was thinking that was too obvious of an answer, but I guess that was the answer.
All your settings, all your applications. It's not the actual...
I just dump all my stuff on my non-OS drive and drives, and
I'm talking about all your applications.
Well, I also dump applications there.
Wait, so how does that... See, I've heard about this. So how does that work? So you install all your applications onto your secondary drive, and then you reinstall Windows, and they're just magically there?
Oh, no way. I have to go recreate shortcuts and stuff, and... You know, sure, it's like doing it's like just copy-pasting the folder from program files, you know, the dirty way.
Oh, okay.
You know, whatever. It'll work.
Here's what I need to do. I still need to figure out how to build like a gold version, or I forget what the term is, but like a master
install.
Yeah, like a master image, a gold image, I think is sometimes what they call it, but like a master image for Windows that I can just redeploy very, very quickly and easily with all the stuff that I want installed on it. Settings already the way I want them, things like that. You know what I've noticed, though, is that I believe... Remember, my biggest gripe of reinstalling Windows has always been that you would uninstall the pre-included apps. I think there are less...
bloatware. Yeah, there's actually a lot less bloatware.
I was going to say, I feel like there's a lot less bloatware than there used to be.
I only had to get rid of, like, probably less than 10 pieces of bloatware, which, you know what? I mean, that is far too many, you know, especially for how much Windows costs. But, I mean, it's better than it used to be.
I wondered about this. Windows... I wonder... I bet you somebody has created a program. If not... Oh yeah, there's a PowerShell command that you can run. I was going to say, I'm sure somebody has created a program...
Automatically do it?
Yeah, to automatically do it.
The problem is that the pieces of bloatware tend to change.
Well, you just keep updating the program.
They'd have to maintain it quite aggressively, or else it would become useless very quickly.
Yeah. Anyway, so Microsoft is starting to roll out its new Edge browser through Windows Update. The new Chromium-based version of Edge launched in January, but Windows users had to specifically download it. Now, a Microsoft support article notes that it's now available on Windows Update, meaning it will soon arrive on more than 1 billion Windows 10 devices in use. And out of those 1 billion devices, no one will use it.
Except people who don't know any better. I mean, I see a lot of people who use, you know, even IE because they just don't even know better.
Unfortunately, we still have to use IE at my workplace on our main registers.
I think that it seems like just about every company has some like old crap program that won't work in any other browser.
So the way I understand it, the way our point of sale software is built, it's web based, but it's partially web based and partially Windows somewhat based. So there's a specific program that they have built that does a couple of portions in terms of one of them is really cool, is selecting the correct printer to print receipts out on. So in the program, see, that's not a feature that exists directly in a browser. But what we can do is when a sale is completed, I can either say print it on a small receipt through the receipt printer, or print out a full invoice copy, or I can print like gift receipts and other things like that. And I just click on the button in the browser, and then that makes a call somewhere to a program on Windows that then routes everything correctly and prints out the correct stuff, which is kind of cool. My also other understanding is that it creates some kind of the web portion creates a call out to the computer that tells it what specific computer you're using, and that keeps track of like it selects the correct register name in the point of sale side of it on the web-based side. It's weird, but anyway. So like, let's say you had multiple registers. When you sign in, it makes that call to the computer, and then it matches up the correct register number. So, anyway, so a little more than what I actually expected built into that. So, anyway,
Really interesting.
I wonder if so what I've been told is, and I don't know if it's because of the security settings that they have in terms of group policy and things like that with, well, actually, our stuff doesn't run on a domain. It's all local. Works in a work group. But I don't know if some of those calls that need to be made are only specifically able to be done using, like, Internet Explorer or something like that. So I'm not sure. But my understanding is at least for the back office stuff, on the back office, we're using Chrome. On our actual register system, we have to use Internet Explorer. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, but it appears that Edge will be automatically installed through Windows 10, or Windows Update on Windows 10 version 18.03 and higher. That covers the vast majority of versions of Windows 10 that are currently supported, meaning that it should start showing up in Windows Update for everyone soon. Oh joy. As always, this is a gradual rollout, so you might not see it immediately on Windows Update just yet. Microsoft has gradually been improving Edge in recent months, including the ability to sync extensions, but unfortunately, History and Tab Sync is still not supported. I don't get it. But Microsoft has promised to enable this in the summer. Isn't it basically Chrome rebranded with, I don't know, I could be really off on that. But it apparently, if it's Chromium based, isn't it basically just Windows or Windows Chrome? Isn't it basically Google Chrome with a theme turned, with a custom skin or theme or whatever, and the options that they decided to turn on and turn off? I don't actually know if that's how that works or not, but.
Don't know, don't care, won't use it.
Microsoft is planning to bring vertical tabs, a new sidebar search feature, and Pinterest integration to Edge in the coming months. Microsoft has also been working with Google to improve spell checker and scrolling support, and is also working on improving progressive web apps support in Edge.
Pinterest integration, I'm sold.
Yeah.
I am sold. I'm downloading the new Edge right now.
I don't know. I won't be using it. So.
Well, no Pinterest integration for you then, I guess.
I could care less. Anyway. So, we always like to make fun of not always, but we like to make fun of Microsoft. We like to make fun of this company too, Zach.
Comcast? Mediacom?
That's one of them.
AT&T?
It's not a telecommunication company.
Oh, it really narrows it down. Not. Apple?
Yeah! So what is Apple's cloud storage called?
iCloud.
Yeah, iCloud had an outage that took down some macOS and iOS software and web apps. I'm guessing it had to do with like backup portions of those applications. Apple's iCloud service experienced an outage on Tuesday evening, causing errors with account signed in iCloud Mail and web apps via iCloud.com. The issue began shortly after 7 p.m. Eastern Time, when users reported issues began pouring in on downdetector.com and across Twitter. Now, Apple acknowledged that the issues on its system status website, as well as its Apple Support Twitter account. Many users started seeing similar error messages, including ones that say the application you have selected does not exist. Okay.
Yeah, we turned off iCloud forever. It doesn't exist anymore. Sorry. Sucks to be all your files.
Mac Rumors reported that some other Apple services like Apple Pay and the company's web-based app-specific password generator were also experiencing issues, although Apple never acknowledged as much on its system status page. Interesting. You know, this brings up an interesting discussion topic, and that is software as a service. Fan or not a fan, Zach?
Nope.
Why?
Because, I don't know, I like to control what my stuff is doing, but
Exactly.
companies don't like when I can do that.
Right, exactly. So here's the thing. Think of it this way, right? So I pay a subscription fee for Adobe's suite for Adobe Creative Suite, right? As a software, as a service. But what happens if Apple decides, or not Apple, if Adobe decides, you know what? We're just going to turn off this program.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that you've paid for the ability to use it for that length of time, and you will have technically have received that. So, you know, they're under no obligation to continue providing that beyond what you paid for.
That's true. But
Even
what does
if
that
you want to continue using it.
But what does that mean for me? What does that mean? If I'm yeah, exactly. If I'm running a business that relies on let's say they decide to turn off Photoshop for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
If
Maybe they want you to buy their newer, more expensive product.
If I am a graphics designer, well, the way mine is you get the whole suite. But anyway, the point is that if they decide to turn off Photoshop, and I'm a graphics designer, not only does it mean that I probably have to go find a new software, but what do I do with all that content that I've created?
I guess you're stuffed.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Am I still able to go back and open those original files, modify those original files? Or am I screwed? What if I'm working on a client project one day and I'm not completely done with it? I put hours and hours of work into it, and they just say, nope, we're going to shut off the program.
You're screwed.
Exactly.
That's what happens.
And so, look, there are pros and cons to software as a service. Like, yes, always the latest software, always up to date, which is nice. But it has those cons, too, where, you know, if the service just decides to shut down, your stuff's gone.
Yep.
So, anyway. Also making fun of Apple doubles the price for entry-level MacBook Pro RAM upgrade, Zach.
As if they didn't already cost a fortune.
Right? So Apple has doubled the price to upgrade the RAM on its entry-level 13-inch MacBook Pro, as spotted by Mac Rumors. The upgrade now costs, any guesses?
$500.
Okay, no, not quite that high.
Really? Wow. I mean, this is Apple we're talking about.
I know. It now costs $200.
How much RAM are we talking about?
Well, we're moving from 8 gigabytes to 16.
Oh, how much is it for 16 gigabytes on a MacBook then?
To upgrade to to upgrade 8 more gigs is $200.
$200 for 16 gigs of RAM. Okay.
Where you could
Alrighty
previously...
then.
Okay, you could previously upgrade that for $100.
Even $100 is, more than it would cost you to go buy some at, your average computer store, whatever you have.
Apple is calling the price increase a price correction.
Correction.
The price to upgrade RAM from 8 gigabytes to 16 gigabytes is $200 on other Macs, including the iMac.
Corporate thing I've heard all day.
Including the
Price
iMac
correction.
and MacBook Air, and this change is meant to keep the fee consistent. Okay.
Right. Because we're just looking out for you. We thought you were confused by too many different price numbers, so now we just made them all the same obscenely high price.
So Apple says it will
for you.
Apple says it will honor the earlier pricing for those who purchased the cheaper RAM upgrade before the price change went into effect.
Well, I would hope so, because
look,
they paid for a product and
okay, $200 is a lot of money for SODIMMs, right? So this may be a tough sell. But the entry-level MacBook Pro also uses DDR3.
Oh, excuse me?
Rather than DDR4. Yep. There you go. $200 for 8 gigs of DDR3.
That is very yikes.
I wonder what this is a good question. What does it cost me to get let's see. Products, all memory, let's see, DDR3 memory. So without looking completely, let's see here. Filter for an 8 gig SODIMM of DDR3. Okay, this is 1600. Is about $50. And you know what? Okay, the prices might not actually be all that off. If a DIMM cost me about $50, so you got 2 of those, so there's 100. I don't know if you can constitute $100 worth of labor.
And then the Apple tax.
Yeah, I don't know if you can constitute another $100 for labor. And
this is installed for you?
That is a good question.
Do we know that? Because I don't know. If it's installed for you, I don't know. $200 for DDR3? Are you kidding me? That's just ridiculous. Even installed, it's like a 2-second job. Well, I suppose on a MacBook, everything's more complicated. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything except using the thing.
Did I tell you that I took apart I completely took apart a whole 2019 MacBook Pro and then transplanted all the guts into a new case because of an issue that those laptops are known for?
Interesting. No, I did not know that.
Yeah, I did. Do you know what the issue that I'm talking about is?
Is it they're too hot?
No. It's not that. What
Keyboard?
It was.
Okay.
I mean, they could have taken it to Apple and had Apple do it, but so this was a school district. It was a teacher's laptop from one of the school districts that our particular entity does business with. And so we purchased a whole new, it's the palm rest and keyboard all together. So we purchased that part, and then I had to open up the laptop, transfer the screen, motherboard, speakers, basically the entire guts of the thing, trackpad, into this new body, basically. And of course, Apple hasn't provided guides on how to do this. So it went all right. Although apparently, so the battery that came in it was like super dead. And so we plugged it in after I did the repair and it didn't turn on because the battery was so dead. Because apparently on Apple devices, even if you plug it into the power and the battery's dead, it just won't turn on. Because, well, you know, Apple. So it scared the crap out of me.
Apple's my favorite.
I don't understand that. Look, I can take my laptop with a dead battery. I can take my laptop and pull the battery out of it, plug it into the power, and it will still turn on. Why can't Apple devices do that? I don't get it.
You have to pay for the upgrade to do that.
Look, okay, again, DDR3 for $200 for 8 gigs of it. I don't know if that's installed, but even if it's installed, like, it's kind of pushing it maybe. Anyway. Let's see. What else do we have real quick here? SimCity developers forgot an oil refinery simulator is now playable online.
I read about that. That was kind of cool. Vaguely interesting, I suppose.
I might have to try that. I grew up playing.
Apparently, it's quite complicated.
I grew up with so the before school after school program that I attended had some old Macs. I don't remember which version Macs they were, but they had SimCity 2000 loaded onto them, and I remember playing that as a kid. So that was kind of cool. Users discover a wallpaper that can crash some Android phones as well. Did you hear about this?
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's like the text message you could send to an iPhone to make it reboot.
So this would be a cruel prank to play on somebody. Actually, it could be slightly.
But it crashes the phone. How do you change it?
Yes, that is the problem.
Okay.
There was a way to remove it by loading into safe mode, but apparently when
reset your phone from
when 9 to 5 Google did it. They had to end up factory resetting the entire phone to fix all the issues.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, cruel prank to play on somebody. Apparently the issue has to do with the color space of the picture. There's just too many colors in it for the phone to actually, and it's not all phones. It happens. It looks like in the video it's on a Pixel. It's also been said to happen on Samsung devices as well, but the theory behind it is that it uses the RGB color space while most Android phones prefer sRGB. So it sounds like there's just the phone is trying to process too many colors, and I don't know if it's maybe a memory thing or something like that, or something there. But yeah, it just creates a whole bunch of problems. So makes the phone useless. So
I once bricked my S5 by changing, I don't know, I was just changing some weird setting, and
you also rooted your S5 though.
Yeah, I did, and I managed to soft brick it by like just, I don't know, I was in some app and I noticed it offered me the ability to change the pixel density, and I was like, huh, that's funny. Or not pixel density, but maybe it's something else, I forget. But I was like, oh, what's that do? Let's try it. Wow.
Whoops!
Don't do that. I had to flash the phone.
I'm sure I've done something like that before. I told you the story of Pleb where he plugged a switch into a switch and created a whole bunch of problems, didn't I?
Yeah, I think you did.
We've all done stupid stuff like that before where you're like, whoops. Actually, the most recent one for me was I was trying to down down at the church, we have a Windows server. And I was trying to, I never figured this out, but I was trying to, and it's something I still need to work on, but I was trying to create a VPN connection to it so that myself and other users could VPN into it. And so I was playing with a bunch of settings, and the next thing I know, I had somehow turned something on that basically knocked out the Ethernet controller, or screwed up the network settings enough where the whole machine was not visible to the network.
That seems unfortunate.
Whoops! So I actually, this was about 10, 11 o'clock at night, so I actually had to drive down to the church. Thankfully I've got keys to the building. So I had to drive down to the church and go undo what I did. Because otherwise I was gonna get a phone call from the office secretary in the morning. Be like, I can't access the server. Which just so happens to be where most of the files for that particular individual are sitting. So anyway, actually, I got a text message the other day, because this is usually what happens. And so when there's a tech issue with something at the church, because I am basically the IT manager, I get a text. And I don't really get a description of problems anymore. I just get a picture. Because the theory is that, so one day I get a phone call early in the morning, and the office secretary's like, yeah, I can't print anything. I'm like, okay, I'll be down in a minute. So about 5 minutes, I'm down there, right? I'm like, okay, show me what you were trying to do. So they're like, okay, click, 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 click. And we start hearing the printer. And she's like, well, now it's working. So the next time she was having problems with something, she sent me a picture. She's like, look, this way you can't say it didn't happen. So anyway, but yeah, so
that's true.
So I get a picture. The network share is down. And I'm like, crap. This is something I actually do have to fix right now. Some problems you can like put off for a while. It's like, crap. And then it happened again the other day, and I was like, wait, hang on. Did you just try clicking on something? And I don't know. There's something weird with like Windows 10 and connecting to network drives where like it connects to them, but it doesn't say it's connected to them or something like that. So I have that problem with my NAS all the time. So, I don't know. But anyway. I guess it's better than, Windows just deleting all my files.
That did happen, yeah.
So, anyway. But, yeah. Alright, that's all I got for this week. I don't have anything else. So, man, we went pretty long today. We did like an hour and a half. So, anyway. But, yeah. Thanks for joining. Crap. I was trying to end before I did that, but anyway, yeah. Thanks for joining. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the show. Thumbs down if you didn't. Comment down below. Get subscribed. All that fun stuff. We should see you next week.